Doctah B Sirius.
Found the herbs and the crystals and the Bibles and the number sequences. Then I started looking at the Quran. I said, wait a minute, these are powerful books. And then the Bhagavad Gita. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. They're telling us the code is right here of how to actually live the best life we could live. But we're missing it.
A prominent natural health professional, health and wellness consultant, researcher, herbalist, lecturer, and co-creator of medicine music. This man does it all. And if you've ever wanted to understand the buzzwords of raising your vibrations and frequency, we've got it here for you today.
Black magic is the ability to go into the darkness and recreate yourself. Darkness is where everything comes, but they scare you of your own power. So everything is about fear. So the average person grew up in a family that lived in fear. They had an inferiority complex, right? And once you have that inferiority complex, you teach it to the children.
All of this is to get you to peak performance and maximize your success, because right after that, we've got a huge 180. We're talking about parasites. Look at you. You didn't even know you were covered in them. Of course, we also delve into your subconscious and then get a masterclass in sex magic. This podcast has it all. So you're welcome. Leave us a like, comment down below, and subscribe. Check out our Rumble, and of course, check out thewayofwilljohn.com for more exclusive videos. Join our manifestation masterclass. We even got a channel in Spanish, okay? The Way of Will John Espanol is kicked off. Please go and check it out. We will see you guys later. Enjoy the podcast. Peace.
Way of Will John.
Doctah B, welcome, my brother. What's up?
Hey, man, it's good to be here. It's a phenomenal day, and it's electric being here with you.
I love it. I love it. So, okay. As I was saying before we just gotten started, I have been a fan of your work for a little bit now, and I've got some friends who have been helped by everything that you've been doing. So I want to give the listeners and the viewers just a little bit of an idea of who you would say you are and how your journey has taken you to this point of helping so many people with what you do.
Well, I would say that I am a cultural creative, a teacher, and a channel. Information flows through me, and I let it flow through the people. And I've been a musician most of my life, so everything is about vibration. And as you know, vibration is everything. And music, rhythm, sound, melody, which took me into medicine, because medicine, natural medicine, the word medicine means measurement, which is also having to do with music and rhythm and timing and all of that. So everything that I do in the music world or in the what they call the natural health world has to do with timing and rhythm, and helping people get into the zone so they can be in time with who they really are.
And I saw you have a type of a program, maybe is the best way to put it, that is helping people find peak performance, right? And, I'm an athlete, and that's something that we talk about and is heavily, ingrained into our training and stuff like this. So could we, before we get onto some stuff that I know you want to discuss, could we talk a little bit about how you help people reach peak performance? Is there a plan? Is there a daily routine, a morning routine? How do you do it?
What I do is I help people become aware of their goals, their desire. What is the outcome that you would like? And this is one of the biggest questions that we have for anyone who is stepping into this world of wellness is, what is your goal? What is your desire? Even if it's business, if it's sports, if it's music, we need a goal. What is the destination? And then we have to realize that your words, your actions, what you eat, all those things are part of the mission. They're part of the goal. They're part of the journey. So to reach a goal, there's a way of eating, there's a way of living, there's a way of breathing, there's a way of thinking. And if we don't think like champions or winners, we've already lost. If we don't eat like champions and winners, we've lost. If we don't hang out with those who are either champions and winners, or at least on the pathway to winning, then we've lost. So the main thing is to have a goal and not just see the goal. Because, we've been taught many years to see the end. No, feel it. The body trumps the mind. The body trumps the mind. When you can feel something as if it's happening, if you can imagine it, it becomes what we call indelibly written into your subconscious. Your subconscious is in your body. The body mind is the one that actually holds on all the memories. It's the one that moves us towards our goals, because if you can feel something has happened, the body doesn't know that it didn't actually happen. You see? So if you could just close your eyes and just feel as if you're at your destination, then your life force begins to move you towards that. Now, the thing is, for many years when I was seeing clients every day, I realized people didn't know what they wanted. They didn't have a destination in mind. They just would speak on what they did not want. I don't want to be this, and I don't want to be that, and I don't want, but I would ask, what do you desire? What is it that you do desire? What is your goal? And for a lot of people, that was scrambled in their heads because, the programming that we received as children, right, was sometimes other than our natural goal. You see, we were trained to be a certain way to fit into society, to get a job, to get a degree, versus allowing us to unfold and express ourselves in what we were naturally, tuned for. The rhythm, the song, the life force that we were naturally, born with, sometimes was written away. And success becomes a lot of times what your parents said, what society said, and you weren't feeling it, but you had to do it. You were forced, you see. So now that a lot of people are, let's say, adults, the average adult lives life as an adult based on the conclusions of a child. And the child wants to make the parents happy a lot of times. They want to make the school happy. They want to get that A. You see what I'm saying? They want to be able to compete and do what everybody else does. So the self many times becomes buried. It becomes lost. And we live this life of just being on the ocean and on somebody else's ship and not being the captain, not being the CEO. So our goal at first is to find out, where is the captain? Where is the CEO? Let's get the CEO out here. And what is your goal? What is it? What is the business? What do you do? What would you like to do? What can you dream of doing? What did you do naturally when you were a child that you didn't have to be taught? So once we find that, then we can help guide people every moment. From the moment they wake up, the first step that you take is important. When you're bathing, how you bathe, the things that you go through each day should be a part of that goal. Everything should be a part of moving towards that mission. And that's how you create champions.
TheWayOfWillJohn.com. Exclusive content and programs on manifestation, making money, hidden knowledge. Finally, reach your full potential.
It's so incredibly powerful, what you're saying. And to do this, I found this in my own life. I mean, I've gone through my own journey of understanding that, as we all do, right? But what I hear you saying and speaking about is alignment as well, on top of how wild it is, this process that you just described and that you help with clients. There's, I have above me a quote from Neville Goddard, who discusses just this process of you being able to take on. And if you can't feel, and as a matter of fact, I think one of his books is Feeling is the Secret.
Yes.
And it's like, it's a complete other tangent to wonder, how come I did not get taught this shit in school? That's a whole nother conversation. But, it's amazing because there's a portion of this that I also feel gets missed once people discover the power that you're talking about. Because at the beginning of the process, and at least let's say I'll use him as an example, he wants you to sit and quiet the mind or be in a state akin to sleep. That's what he calls it, SATS, right? And from that place, you start to feel, and you start to feel yourself into the job. But you already, like you said, you cannot, and same with him, you guys are in complete agreement there. If you don't know what you want, I don't know how we're going to get it, And so I find that powerful in and of itself. But you said just before this about vibration, and you being a musician, and vibration is one of those buzzwords that is out there. Could you describe to us how vibration plays a role then in our lives? What does it actually do, and how can we utilize this? Is that the same as frequency? Are those one and the same, or?
They're the same basically, but there's a slight difference. See, frequency means how frequently does something happen. Frequency. How frequency does the rhythm happen? So with a drum beat, you know what I'm saying? The frequency is how many times you hit the drum. Boom, 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 boom. If the faster you go, the more frequency you have, or the higher the frequency. So, and vibration happens when you hit the drum. You know, how long the vibration happens, how long you can stay with the thought. So when you are able to match your personal vibration with the idea of what you desire, then all of a sudden there is this symmetry that happens. There's this magnetism that happens because you're vibrating like the thing as if it's already happened. So this is also called faith. 𝗪𝗓𝗟𝗡, friend of mine, she talks about this all the time. We talk about this on a couple of our podcasts. You must feel as if the thing has already happened. Think from the goal as if you're there already. Feel from the goal. And what happens is your body doesn't know that this is just an imagination, but imagination is one of the most powerful things you have. So you begin to vibrate in the same frequency range as the thing you desire. Now, when you take that into a place, that silent place, and especially times like just before you go to bed. Just before you go to bed, right? You're lying in the bed. And if you would repeat over and over, or imagine over and over being at the goal, you're going to go into a place in between sleep and awake. And this is what Neville is talking about. This place is the theta state. You're in between. You're not quite asleep yet, but you're not quite awake. That place is where meditation happens. That's when you drop deep into a place where for the next 6 to 8 hours, or however long you're sleeping, it's like dropping seeds into the fertile subconscious earth. So the subconscious is like the earth that you can put seeds in, right? So you're dropping these idea seeds into the fertile subconscious, which are going to be nurtured and watered while you're sleeping. So if you think about the average person, right? What does the average person think about before they go to bed?
Worries.
What they didn't do, what happened, who they didn't like, you know what I'm saying? What they need to do. It's all these other thoughts, and they're just fleeting. And it's like thousands of these thoughts that actually are going to be what? They're going to be, it's like you're a farmer. You're planting them. So when you wake up in the morning, there's a confusion. You got to figure out who you are for a minute. Some people don't even, when you first wake up, you don't know who you are. You could be a stick, a ladybug. You know what I'm saying? You could be a dove, an owl, or a chicken, you see? So once you come to consciousness, which is another theta state when you're waking, right? If you have that prevailing feeling in your gut of what you desire, that is your code. That is your, that's your mission. That's it. That's what you desire. And you have that on your mind. Then when you come to, let's say if you drink a little water, well, what are you drinking? You're drinking the idea. You just imagine that this is the idea. I'm feeding the idea. I'm feeding the feeling. Then when you get up to make your first step, right, you have to live it in that first step. That first step has to be a step towards your goal. You see, and then every step, everything that you do would be what? Moving towards that goal. So I've been a musician most of my life. So when I was young, no matter what was happening around me, my goal was I was a musician. And I love drums, and I would be in school when they're saying to pay attention. I'm hearing rhythm. I'm sitting here at my desk. I'm bowing. Why are you moving like that? Because I'm hearing music. You see, I'm watching the bees outside the window. I remember in this one class, this was the most fulfilling time of my life as a student. There was a huge beehive outside the window. It was huge. Now they're doing algebra or whatever. I don't know what they're doing. And they're in the back. I could hear them talking. I don't hear them. I hear the bees. Bzzz, and I'm watching the bees, and I'm watching how they have this order, and they have this rhythm, and they all dance together, and they touch together when they land. I mean, this was the biggest class I could ever take. And I went, Mr. B, what are you looking at? What are you concentrating on? The bees. The bees. And the bees, by the way, they vibrate, and their frequency is 528 hertz. 528 is the frequency of the heart. It is the frequency of healing. It's the frequency of love and forgiveness. See, when you have true forgiveness, you're beginning to vibrate at a frequency that can help you be. Because to be means to live in the moment. If you're a human being, that means you're in the moment. Now, if you're always thinking about the past, you're not quite a human being. You know what I'm saying? Yep. I'm not sure what you are, because it's a confusion. And if you're always thinking about the future, which doesn't come, there is no future. There's only to now or tomorrow. When it comes, it's now. So if you're in the present moment and you're being, you're focusing on your heart's desire. Now, with that in mind, right, you begin to have a goal-centered mindset. So you're looking for the goal mind. You're goal-minded. Where's the treasure map? The treasure map is the one you set up when you said, I love this thing. I love these things, and I'm going to do them and imagine them no matter where I am. So I was able to do that as a child, because as a child, I was confused. I was depressed. The whole world, I mean, it was the Vietnam War was on, you know what I'm saying? That's the TV, the Walter Cronkite and all. It was all about how bad it was, and people were coming back, and it was getting worse and worse and worse. And this is what people focused on. And I was like, I don't know if I want to live in this world. So let me create a world. Mm-hmm. And that world was a world of music and sound and frequency. If a fork fell on the floor, I would listen to the fork and listen to the frequency of that fork. Everything, the birds, I heard they all had rhythm. And then, I don't know if you've checked this out. If you check out you go to YouTube and look up crickets tuned down. They took crickets, right? The sound of crickets, they recorded them, and they tuned them down to the rhythm of the heartbeat, of the human heartbeat. Okay. When you hear it, it's going to blow your mind. Okay. It sounds like a huge human choir. Wow. I mean, they're singing like, oh, it's music. And the harmony is just so dense. It's almost like, just take that African harmony that's really thick times 100. Right. And then what's crazy is when you're listening to the bees, they go to a change. Mm-hmm. It's like they go to like the chorus, and they change. They all at the same time, they change. Then they go back to the groove. Right? Then they even got an outro in the bridge. So when you're hearing the crickets at night, they're talking and they're singing, but it's other animals too that are all making these sounds, which is a concert, because we live in an orchestra. You see, the universe is an orchestra. It's an archestra. Now, an arc is a small piece of a spiral. A spiral is what everything in nature is doing, spiraling. We live in a spiritual universe. Some people say, well, hey, Doc, how you doing? I've been checking out your shows. And I'm really spiritual. And I say, well, I look around. Well, everybody is it, aren't they? Well, no, I mean, I'm spiritual, because we think that spiritual means that you're into something. Mm-hmm. You burn sage, you got a singing bowl, or you're in church, or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But spiritual or spiritual is what everything is doing. When those bees land, they're spiraling. They spiral around and dance in a spiral. It's an expanding circle. So everything is dancing. We're in this exotic, erotic dance. You see what I'm saying? Your blood vessels, they spiral through the body. And what's really interesting, you could take your blood vessels, and if you stretch them all out, they wrap around the world. And I think it's a couple times. And your heart is able to pump that blood? No, it's impossible. Your heart is not pumping. Your heart is a vortex. Your heart is like a junction. It's like a place where the energy pools together based on the rhythm of life. See, it's a mystery. And we find in science, most things are only theories. There's nothing absolute in science. Nothing. We want to try to make it absolute. That's man. Nobody else is trying to do it. The deer are not trying to do it. The oak tree leaves. And, it's always changing and expanding and expressing like jazz music. True jazz or true improvisational music that's happening on the fly based on the heart of the player, based on the heart of the musicians. So heart is our earth. You could just change a few letters and you see it. Heart is the earth. But we have to get to the heart of the matter. And the heart of the matter is that when we begin to vibrate like the thing we desire, we move towards it automatically. And if those things are disagreeable things, like a lot of folks, they focus on how bad it is, they move towards it, they create it. So if you can vibrate, or if you can focus, if you can vision a thing that you truly desire, you actually change dimensions, because you're casting a energy into the quantum field. Your thoughts are waves. Your feelings are waves, and they wave into the quantum field where anything is possible. And what happens is after a while, that repetition creates matter. That matter, right, becomes solid for you. We say everybody's on the same planet. We're not. Everybody's on a different planet. Everybody's in a different world. Mm-hmm. When they say, well, this person is the richest person in the world. What world are you talking about? The world is not the earth. So your world is a place that you create, and you have to be the CEO. You have to be the captain of the ship, of the vessel of the world, and stay focused on your desire. Breathe it as if it's happened. Everything you do, you live as if that desire has happened. And you begin to materialize that universe, that dimension. I mean, scientists have said for sure there's 11 dimensions. They said that, year 2000? Mm-hmm. But that meant that it was 11 Earths, and it was 11 versions of me. Actually, we were taught that there's 144 versions of everything, at least 144,000. So at any moment, you could change who you are. You could change your life. You could change your body by focusing on what you desire.
One of the most important things that I have learned interviewing all of these high performance leaders is that clarity of mind is crucial to your success. And what good is clarity of mind without clarity of sound? Which is why today's podcast is sponsored by Rode. We across 𝗪𝗟𝗟 use exclusively Rode audio equipment in order to do all of our stuff. If you are an influencer, if you're just a person out there trying to make some good content for your stuff at home, wherever it is, Rode is by far the best audio partner we have ever had. We have been using their stuff for almost 5 years now. Has never let us down. Truly incredible company, especially with all of the other affordable things that you guys can get from them. Check out the link right down below and enjoy the rest of this podcast. And what's crazy is how powerful that is and how simple you would think it should be for all of us to understand that and then to do it. Alas, it doesn't seem to be so simple for the planet. And where I'm going with that is parasites. How does this play a role? Because if it's just me, and I'll play devil's advocate for the sake of the conversation, if I just have to figure out my goal, and then I have to get in harmony with my goal and frequency, are we sure that there's not anybody that's going to be knocking me off the path? Or am I to believe that it's just me? Every time I fall off the path of not being in tune with my goal or goals, is it just me and I just need to get back on the bike and ride straight to my goal?
This is very interesting. You could tell you're a champion, a player, because you're out there with the ball, right?
Of course.
You know your goal is to get past the goalie, right? Right? But then there are opponents. opposition that's going to test you, because a master must be tested. If you're not tested by the world, you will be testing yourself. Otherwise, you will not be a champion for long. So everything is connected to its opposite. Everything. When you move forward, back is pulling you too. As you go up, down is pulling you. You have good, well, there's bad. There's only 1 degree of separation between anything. You see what I'm saying? You can't have black without white. You can't have anything without its opposite. Now, once you realize that and you become wise, you realize that this is even more why you should focus on a goal no matter what, because you're going to slip. There's going to be missteps. There will be trial and error. You see, and practice is course correction. We're down here practicing how to be masters. Now, if you get to the point where, oh boy, you know, I'm a victim, and look all these bad things that are happening. Look what they are doing. See, that's easy. That's the easy way out. What they're testing you. They're sparring partners. You'd like a sparring partner that is strong, or maybe even stronger than you, to make you as good as you could possibly be. Steel sharpens steel. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about parasites, there's many different types, and let's get the root of it. The root of it is parasites are things that live beside you, that use you as a host. They could be physical, they could be energetic, they even can be mental. Parasites. Para means besides or parallel. Site means life. These are living things that can live in you, on you, and around you, and inhibit your growth, your healing, unless you're able to eradicate them, and do that often. So like right now, we're going into fall. They call this flu season. What it really is the time period where the sun is crossing the equator, which is the equinox, and the energy of the northern hemisphere changes. And the energy of the southern hemisphere changes. So in the northern hemisphere, we're going into fall, and in the southern hemisphere, they're going into spring. Well, everything in nature is changing, because you could see the leaves and everything changing. What's available to eat changes. Like in the fall, in the northern hemisphere's fruits, berries, especially berries, because berries are what they call vacinum. Certain ones like the blueberry, elderberry, they're considered vacinum, which is, some people say, well, this is where they got the word vaccine. This is nature's vaccines. Got to be careful with that word. You go to jail for using that word.
It's a new world. It's a dangerous world.
You're in trouble. Yeah, but berries. So right now you got raspberries, blueberries, blackberries, and they're very dark. You see, within they've got this far infrared light. They've got this energy which feeds your cells, which boosts your immune system naturally. You see? So when we eat in season, we've changed from the summer foods. There's still some watermelons out there that you could buy, but we got to slow down on the summer foods and move to the foods that nature is providing if we would like to be in alignment with nature, because nature is attempting to do its best to help you become a champion or not. You see? So parasites, these things, and there's thousands and thousands of them, their job is to eat garbage. They're trash eaters. And some of the life that we have lived, we've consumed so much trash that the parasites take over. They look at an organ like a piece of trash because you've treated it so bad. You've treated your liver. You've been so disrespectful to your liver. They're like, well, maybe he wants us to take out the trash. You see? But parasites, there's so many different kinds. There's the intestinal parasites are the ones most people are familiar with, and they're not hard to get rid of. Those are the easiest to eradicate. And then there's systemic parasites that live throughout the system. What parasites do is they begin to eat your waste. They begin to eat you if you have become a waste, if you're wasting your life, you see what I'm saying? They can cause almost any disease, or they may live in the area or the organ where disease is. And they will have a output, they leave waste. These are also called worms. You see, they leave waste, and so they're pooping and peeping inside you. You see what I'm saying? Causing toxicity, you see. So there are very microscopic, what they call microscopic or submicroscopic parasites that you can't, you need a super microscope to see. Then there are like the worms, like tapeworms. Tapeworms could be, 33 feet long, the length of your entire digestive tract. So when you're eating, you're feeding them, right? And they eat, and then when they output waste, that's what you're eating. You see, there's hookworms, and hookworms drink blood. They live inside the digestive tract also. They'll hook into the wall of your intestine, and they may drink up to a cc of blood, and they never hang out alone, So they're like vampires drinking blood. There are so many different types of parasites. There's flatworms, there's roundworms, there's thousands of different parasites. There's the ones that come from animals. A lot of them come from animals. There's zoonotic parasites. They've crossed from animals into humans. You see, because a lot of animals that we figure are, our friends actually should be living outside, but we love to bring them inside. And what we don't realize is they carry certain parasites that may not even be harmful to them, but they're harmful to us. And so they cross from the animals into us. For instance, syphilis comes from sheep. You see, somebody's been sleeping with the sheep. You see what I'm saying? And now that's been passed on to humans. There's the dog heartworm. The dog heartworm, it might live inside the dog and not really cause that many problems, but then it could. But then when the dog is barking or breathing, or you're near the dog's breath, the larva of the heartworm, they say, actually can end up in the lung of humans. So what happens is the immune system of the lung tries to, it kills it. It kills the larva, but now it leaves scar tissue in the lungs. So a lot of people have chronic lung issues because of the dog. They love the dog. Yeah, we love our dogs. It's a part of the family. But I'm just letting you know that a lot of folks who have dogs end up in life with asthma, bronchitis. You know what I'm saying? All of these things that happen, they're happening with the lung. And the most notorious of all parasites is toxoplasma. Toxoplasma comes from cats. Only domesticated cats have it. And toxoplasma is what they call the mind control parasite. Toxoplasma is in the poop of the cat. So it's in the kitty litter or out in the garden, wherever the kitty dropped its poopies, right? And it has a energy field and an aroma that attracts mice and rats. Mice love kitty poop. And they also are attracted to the pee, the urine of these cats. So they end up ingesting this parasite. The parasite ends up in their brain, in their amygdala on the two sides of the brain, which helps to process emotions. And they take over. And they actually control the emotions of people. Because, see, check it out. You say, well, how did it get from the mouse to me? Well, first of all, you have the kitty litter in the house. And if you read the kitty litter bag, it says right on the bottom that you're supposed to wear gloves and that you need to be like, to have one of those spacesuits on. Because even the dust is in the air, you see. And that ends up in humans. In fact, if you can remember when a woman is pregnant, they say she can't be around cats at all. If you got cats, they got to leave. You got to take her somewhere where there's no cats, because they will that parasite toxoplasma will cause the brain to not develop correctly. Because like I said, they live in the brains of animals. But toxoplasma has ended up in the food supply, period. Because even if you go to the feedlots, when I was at a feedlot many, many years ago, I noticed there was nothing but feces on the ground, maggots, roaches, cats, and rats. So what do you think is happening? There's parasites everywhere. There's germs everywhere. There's toxicity everywhere. I mean, you can't clean it all up. You know, it's not like a sterile place at all. It's totally opposite that. So I was asking the farmer, but what about the toxoplasma? He says, well, that works for us because toxoplasma keeps the animals under control. Because the mouse or the rat or the cow or the whatever eats it, it loses its natural distinction, its natural identity. The parasite takes over and plays with the emotions so that the cat doesn't even have to chase the rat. The rats just stand there, and naturally they're afraid of the cat, but they don't run. Why? Because toxoplasma is controlling things. So it just sits there, looks at the cat and says, hey, Mr. Cat, how are you? And the cat just walks over gently and just eats the rat. Because it plays with your perception of fear and anger. All of your emotions get scrambled because it has taken over. And it does this for its own survival. So it does things so that you won't get rid of it. This is what they call a superbug, you see. And once it got into food supply, they realized, especially at the feedlots, the animals that are domesticated don't run away. They don't know where to go. They don't know who they are. They might be upset, but they don't do anything about it. They could actually break down the fence, but they don't. So, it's really weird that, it snows a lot of times on these farms and the farm fence falls during the winter and the cows are still standing in the middle of the farm. Now, that's for several reasons. One of them is a mental, construct that has been created through domestication. But the other one is a lot of these animals have these parasites, this parasite toxoplasma, and it domesticates them, keeps them from running away. So now they say that maybe 70% of the human population has toxoplasma, which makes people afraid of things that in no way has happened. It can't happen. It doesn't even make any sense. They keep telling you, well, the science says. What science? They show you a graph on the wall. The newsman is showing you a graph and they made it up in the back room. You know what I'm saying? But your mind says, oh, my God, that's the voice of power. And you know what I'm saying? They know what they listen to the voice. Back to you, Jim. Back to you, John. They sound like they really know we're down here now. We're the eyewitness news. When they're asking questions, if you're the eyewitness news, how are you asking questions about what happened? You should know. You see what I'm saying? But you don't know. You're making it up. But people love, that cognitive dissonance that happens when they're showing you pictures and speaking in certain voices and the voice of power. And you know what I'm saying? And you believe it because they sound and they look like they know. But a lot of times they're actors. You see? So your mind, if you're not able to process your emotions correctly, because you got a parasite that's running the show, you've got something that's interrupting your natural flow. You've got something that's playing with you, making you believe in something that's not even totally believable. It doesn't even make total sense. You see? So a lot of people aren't thinking because the parasite has taken over. And I will say this much. I asked one of my teachers, who was a Dogon priest, where did this toxoplasma come from? He said, from space. So what do you mean? He says, well, there was this time 6,000 years ago when these beings came to the planet. And they wanted to control the people. So they created this parasite, which is like a drone. It's like biological warfare, and placed it in cats in Egypt. Because, the Egyptians created cats. I'm talking about they say they're the first ones to domesticate cats. Mm-hmm. Somehow they got this in the brain of the cat. I don't know. The technology they had the 6,000 years ago was higher than ours, obviously. And they say these cats may have been the reason why Egypt fell quickly. I'm not sure. That's not my, we'd have to talk to Billy Carson about that.
Mm-hmm. I'll ask him next time. Yeah.
But yeah, something happened. They talk about the crazy cat lady up the street. You know what I'm saying? She's got all these cats. And if you talk to her, it's like, something is off.
Right.
I'm not telling you not to have cats and dogs and animals. I'm saying that there is, a time and a rhythm and a place for everything. And some of the things that we do that are outside of what we would naturally be doing if we were in our right minds. causes us to agree to some things that would be disagreeable many years ago. But a lot of folks we find have this toxoplasma. And it may be why they're able to scare us all the time just by words and pictures, and just have the people frightened where the people are not even able to think consciously about what they're hearing and what they're seeing.
My question about this then becomes, number one, if this is the case and has been the case for some time, we have to by now have at least some understanding of either A, how do we prevent this if it's in our food, if it's around us all the time in our animals, and it's everywhere. How do we prevent this? Is it something that we can prevent through our food ourselves, like, having the right food, having the right meditation, getting the right sleep? Can we take preventative measures? Or on the flip side, is there a way to remove, detox, lessen the effect of something like this?
Well, the chances of you eating a certain way, sleeping and taking supplements, most likely not. This is a superbug. Mm-hmm. This is technology way beyond anything we know. But what we find, and this is where I think I've touched on something that I don't know if anybody else has touched on. There is a rhythm that they live in, 28-day cycles. If you interrupt their feeding cycle, their mating cycle, if you interrupt their ability to contact others, because they're all connected, it's like they're like a hive. And somewhere there's a queen who's controlling this whole network. Then you can actually change them or turn them down or shut them off. And we realized that it wasn't just herbs, because a lot of herbs can't pass the blood-brain barrier. It's not vitamins. A lot of vitamins don't pass the blood-brain barrier. The brain is very sensitive. It has to block most nutrients. It's only a few nutrients that ever reach the brain, and they have to go through a lot of processing. Otherwise, the brain would be damaged. So, a lot of folks say, well, I take my herbs for parasites. Well, you do, and that's good. That's great for the intestinal ones. This is a superbug. This one's outthinking you. It knows what you're about to do before you do it. In fact, you may be doing it because of this parasite. So I had a experience in what they call the Bermuda Triangle. So on a cruise boat, which ended up in the Triangle, and I was downloaded in 1996, September, by the way. 1996, I was downloaded with information. I had hours and hours of what you call missing time. And my watch, which is right here, my watch is fused on that exact day, at that exact moment when gone. I can't tell you exactly what happened during that time because I was out. I do know since that time, I had a lot of information, equations, smells, tastes, colors, and I basically had a nervous breakdown after that. I couldn't figure out who I was. I lost it. And I met this Dogon priest who was an herbalist, who was a botanist, who used to work for Jimmy Carter. His name is 𝗪𝗪𝗛𝗡. And he actually helped me break down what happened. And, the Dogon people are very much into, outer space, beings from other places, and they have knowledge. In fact, they're still discovering planets that the Dogons knew about thousands of years ago, like Sirius A and B, and their dance in the sky and their 50-year, revolution. But I realized working with him that I had been downloaded information, and I began to do this deep research on different types of parasites. And I realized at a certain point that you had to use certain herbs to change the frequency of the blood. You had to use what they call flower essences, which are it's a very special group. They're not essential oils. They're different. Flower essences, essential oils. We had to use magnetic resonance. We had to use sound and frequency and light. We had to put that in a formula, which was challenging within itself to put these different things all in a formula. So we broke it up into components, and we had to test everything over and over and over. But I was being led. I was being, channeled this information, you see, and music was a big piece of it. So in the products that we created, we even have sound and frequency that we kind of infuse into the products. I don't know of anybody doing this. I've never heard of anybody doing anything like this, but this was like this unique message that I was getting. And we created something called the Total Body Paracleanse Program, which has to change the frequency of the entire body. So you just can't take something that cleans out the colon to do it. You've got to change the frequency of the blood. You've got to work with the liver, the kidneys, the spleen, every part of the body. So we created things, even a tooth powder, because, when you're trying to get rid of parasites, they'll run to the place where that particular substance is not, the mouth. Mm-hmm. You could take cranberry juice, pure cranberry juice, and just swish it around in your mouth and spit it out and put it in a dish. You'll freak out. What the heck is all that? You say, I brushed my teeth. Yeah, but there's stuff in your gums. You see what I'm saying? There's the systemic parasites live throughout the body, even the eyes, which is why a lot of times when you're looking up at the sky or a white wall, you see these little squiggly things swimming around. And if you look at them, they're navigating, not the little dots. We're talking about the little wormy looking ones. And as you try to focus on them, they move. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you can see the eyes and the tail. What the heck is that? Those are floaters or parasites that live in the eye. And most people who have parasites in their eyes have them throughout the body. So the parasites that live in the liver, the kidneys, the spleen, and the thyroid, and the all those different organs, how are you going to get rid of those? With your regular herbs? You can't. These are super bugs. It's like malaria is a superbug. In fact, malaria is a cousin of toxoplasma, which is another parasite that plays with the consciousness of the person that has malaria. Did you know that people with malaria who might not know they have malaria will quickly go have sex with somebody that doesn't have malaria? They don't even really, it's just weird. They just drift over and start, they would chat this person up and end up in the bed because the malaria is like, go have sex with that person. Because we need to travel there. We need to travel from person to person to person. What was that movie years ago with Denzel, where he would touch people and this it was like a energetic virus that was traveling through the world?
I don't know.
It was, they were talking about how this thing it was traveling. Actually, that's real. That's a parasite called 𝗪𝗡𝗪, which is known almost in every society. This parasite, which is also known as a flyer, it's known as a vamp. This takes over whole societies and causes colony collapse disorder. They say almost every society that collapses because it got 𝗪𝗡𝗪, and it causes the people to fight and divide and have this divisiveness, and nobody can agree on one thing. If you have a village, man, and everybody in there is independent, the village dies. So, we live in these communities, but we're not communing. We're not communicating on a oneness. A community is a place that's all broken up where people may not care about each other and hate each other and have issues. Some may love each other, but it's division. Itty makes it a division, itty bitty pieces, right? So these things like this 𝗪𝗡𝗪 takes over a society, causes them to fight, causes them to have this division, to think they're so different, that causes the collapse of the society. This has happened over and over and over and over. Well, what I discovered that the 𝗪𝗡𝗪 also is related to this toxoplasma. That quite possibly 𝗪𝗡𝗪, which is an energetic parasite, right, or a spiritual parasite, is a part of the physical side, which is toxoplasma, because it does the same thing. Because most people with toxoplasma are afraid. They're afraid of things that you have no proof that thing could ever even hurt you. It didn't even happen yet. False evidence appearing real. The expectation of pain or loss is fear. So where's the courage? Well, a lot of the people don't have courage today because they don't have enough iron in their system. If you don't have enough of the natural, what they call nascent iron, which is the iron that has been broken down by plants, You can't absorb, elemental iron, but you can absorb the iron that has been, uptook into the plants, like sarsaparilla, like nettle. These plants are high in iron. You see, if you don't have a lot of that in the northern hemisphere, you don't have a lot of iron. If you don't have a lot of iron, then you don't have strength in the people because the cells are weak. Their emotions are weak. They get hurt by just words. You just call a person a name or say something bad and they're broken down and they're ready to fight and shoot and bring out AK on you. You see, because of words. But you remember, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words could never hurt me. Words today are very dangerous. People say something and whole groups of people snap because they said it. They didn't touch you. That's because people are watered down and weakened because they don't have enough of the nutrients in their food to feed them. There's more nutrients in cat food and dog food than there is in most food that you find in your stores. Even if you're vegan and you're vegetarian, I hear about, oh my God, but I'm a vegan, I'm a vegetarian. If your food grew in the soil in North America, it doesn't have enough minerals unless it was grown by one of your local farmers who knew how to replace the nutrients in the soil, who was using the right type of friendly bacteria, all of those things. And a lot of your local farmers know this. That's why I go into a local farm or a farmer's market where the people still got dirt under their nails. You know what I mean? You go to the person at the grocery store, they got perfectly clean nails. They haven't even touched the soil. They've never even seen the plants growing, Yeah. So you go to the local farmer and they're in touch with the land. They're in touch with the vibration of the soil and the earth and the plants, and they know them. And there is a connection between the plants and the people. Plants are so sentient. They are much more intelligent and sentient and connected to the nowness of this place than we are. So all of these things make a difference, and it takes courage. It takes courage for a person to say, I'm a winner. I'm going to move towards my goal no matter what, no matter who tries to stop me. No matter how many team members they got, how many times they've got the championship. You don't care. You're focused on winning and nothing but winning. And every time you lose, you're learning. But also just keep in mind that a lot of people have what they call mental parasites. A mental parasite is an idea or an experience that happened a long time ago that's still caught in your mindset. And you think it's going to happen again because you were told as a child that history repeats itself, when actually history never actually repeats itself. It's always slightly different. It's never exactly the same. You see? So it's like that movie Groundhog Day, right? Mm-hmm. It kept happening over and over. His day was the same until he changed one thing. And that changed the rhythm. That changed the frequency. You see? So once we realize that we've got to change our frequency, we've got to change what we're doing, what we're eating, how we're acting, how we're talking, who we're hanging out with, who we're making love with, because a lot of people are having intimacy with somebody that they normally would never have intimacy with. There's a parasite called 𝗪𝗟𝗪𝗛, which is a cousin of toxoplasma. It lives in the reproductive organs of people. Between it and toxoplasma, the cousin, will cause you to be intimate with somebody who that you're not in alignment with them. They're not in alignment with, but you like them because they look good, because they got good shoes, or they got a great car, or they got money. You see what I'm saying? They look, you know what I'm saying? It's about the look. You could end up, a lot of people end up being intimate with somebody that is really just using you as a transportation system to get from one place to another. So you got toxoplasma and 𝗪𝗟𝗪𝗛 attempting to get you to be attracted to something that normally you're not attracted to. In fact, a lot of times when you meet the person, your gut says, no, don't do it. But then they keep talking and they're chatting you up and they're calling and they send you flowers, and you're now eating the vegan lobster meat or whatever. Oh my God, they know all the conscious words. They're very spiritual. He had a singing bowl in his living room. She had sage. She saged me. So you get this talk, right? But actually your gut is telling you no, but you turn your gut off because a lot of times the gut is not working correctly because the evil spirit is taking over you. It's a parasite. Mm. Anything that takes over something and uses you as a host is a parasite. That parasite is Wetiko. Look it up. WETKO or CO. It's spelled a lot of different ways.
Does that apply now to the very, very common term we have, energy vampires? How does that work now with that? How does that align with what you're saying?
So a person who is an energy vampire, which is lots of them today because people today are very thirsty. You know, something happened 3 years ago, 3 years ago now, where people lost it. People snapped, right? Because of fear. And now they're chronically afraid of everything. And they're listening to anything that anybody says that sounds bad. And, oh my God, they're outside. Something's after me. You know, we're afraid of the dark. We're afraid of the day. You know, we have nightmares. We're having daymares. You know, it's crazy, right? So when you are that far out, you're not in yourself. So you're easily going to be moved by other people, especially if you're looking for validation. You want to win. You want to look good. Everything you put on is fake up. You know what I'm saying? So that you can look a certain way and get 5 minutes of fame. And, you know, you got your profile, and your profile in no way looks like you. And it's all about, you know, the look, the vibe of things. It's not about what it really is. So people today are hungry for energy because they don't have a lot of internal energy anymore because they've been beaten up by society. See, think of it this way. A people who have been oppressed, which is a lot of people, not just the ones you could mention off the top of your head. Most people have been through some sort of oppression. What happens is they become oppressive because they've lived under the spell of oppression so long that that's the world that they live in. That's how you do. Dog eat dog. I just got to get mine. I don't care about them. You see what I'm saying? I got to get there first. So you break the village up once again. So people who have been oppressed may become oppressive, but they may not oppress other people. They may just oppress themselves. They may self-sabotage everything that they do that could make them become a winner. They don't even feel like they could be a winner. And if it looks like they're winning, they'll destroy it. They'll make all the missteps on purpose and not even realize it because it's unconscious, unconsciously on purpose. That's deep. And they will fail. They'll destroy their own thing, like talking too much. Some people talk too much. They won. I remember I was a salesperson at this stereo shop. I was selling this high-end studio equipment. It was my first job in Los Angeles. And, you know, this guy was buying a stereo system. It was like $5,000 stereo system. Amazing, high-end audio file system. And the guy says, okay, I'll buy it. And I said, oh, wow, he's going to buy it. Then I kept talking. And I started telling him what this button does, and it can do this, and blah, 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 blah. I can demagnetize your record. And I went on and on for another 15 minutes of telling him the attributes of the thing. You know what he said? Wow, I didn't know it could do all that. You know what? I need to go home and talk to my wife before I spend this kind of money. And he walked out. Yeah. And my boss came and says, man, you lost the sale. So how did I lose it? He says, the minute he said, I'll buy it, you were supposed to take his credit card and he would have purchased it, but you're talking too much.
Unreal.
And why are we talking too much? Because we don't feel confident. I feel like since he said, okay, I better keep pushing him. No. See, we got to know how to know when and know how. Wise people know exactly what to say and when to say it and when to pause, and silence is important. Listening. A lot of times when a person is talking and they're telling their story, you can't wait till they stop. So you could tell your story instead of really listening to what they're saying. So a lot of folks aren't really listening. I mean, I do lectures and workshops and classes, and people call me and say, well, Dr. B, remember the time when you said, and they'll repeat something that I said. And I'll be like, that's not what I said, but that's what they heard.
Right.
If you tell 20 people, write something, each one of them heard, if 20 people see something, they all see something different. You feel me?
Yeah.
So what happens is people are so disillusioned and a little lost right now. They look for energy. Now, if you got energy, because you know you're You're a ball player, man. You're a star, man. People love you. So now you get invited to all kinds of things, right? Why are they inviting you? Because you bring energy. The people there want to see your name on the list. Mm-hmm. The people there, the people that come, they're energy vampires. They're hungry for something. People are hungry for a star. They're hungry to hear the news. They feel like if they vote for this particular person, that person's going to save them, when in fact, we've got to save ourselves first. You've got to feel safe and whole within yourself. Nothing outside of you is going to make you whole, right? You've got to realize that when you got here, you have everything, and how to use your tools is something that you have to teach yourself. You can't say, well, why didn't we get taught this in school? Because they were trying to get you to get a job. That was it. High school test teaches you how to get a job. College teaches you how to keep one. You see what I'm saying? That's okay. But the point is that the world will use your energy. And you walk into a room, sometimes you're invited to that party because of your energy. And if you've got a lot of it, even though you don't realize it, people need energy from other people, but they don't need it. They think they do, because people are so lost inside. They've heard so many lies, seen so many stories, that they're basically kind of floating through space. So energy vampires are people who need energy from others. They need followers. They need all these things, right? Then you've got energetic vampires that may be entities or ideas, or what they call egregors. An egregor is not an actual thing, but the people believe in this thing, this idea, so much that it's actually alive. It has a whole personality. It never really existed, but the people are in so much love or desire for this thing to be alive that it does. It has power. Like people go to India, and they go to where all these Bodhi trees are, and they're just sitting down by the Bodhi tree, and they feel like this is where Buddha was. They don't know which one it was, but they actually do receive energy because they believe that they sat at the Bodhi tree. Right. I'm not saying it's bad. You've got to learn how to use certain ideas and certain things. And if something is giving you energy, then you must use that energy in a way that is conducive to rebuild your life. And some people need a symbol, you see, but there are entities, right? Some of them are what you call non-physical things that will use your energy. So for instance, the room you're in right now, there's probably 20,000 beings in that room. Some of them are moving so fast you can't see them. Some of them are moving so slowly you can't see them. So there's a plant behind you, right? Mm-hmm. That plant is moving, but it's moving so slowly, and you don't really have the patience to really watch it to see it move. Right. You leave and come back, and you see the leaves have turned towards the sun. They move. There are all kinds of beings. Not all of these non-physical beings are disagreeable. We were taught that. They're spirits, they're bad, they're evil things, and you're afraid. And the more fear you have, right, then the more false evidence of things appearing real that really don't, right? And if you live in fear, you become inferior, and you have an inferiority complex. You see what I'm saying? A lot of people have that. They don't feel good enough, strong enough, you know what I'm saying? Beautiful enough. So that breaks them down. Now, energy vampires can use your energy because you're not using it. They use your electricity because each person is electrical. We're biophotic, which means that we get energy from the sun or from light and turn it into electricity. You see? So if you have a lot of light, but your light has been dimmed by your life, by your words, by your actions, by what you've eaten, the things that you've taken, right? Somebody else that sees that can swoop in like a walk-in and just control your mind and use your energy for themselves. That's a parasite too. And there's all kinds of entities. People say, well, what's up? There was an evil entity in the room. Do you know that almost every time we've done research on the evil entity in the room, when we found it, guess what it was?
I have no idea.
Them.
Themselves.
It was the opposition of themselves. It was the opposite of themselves. Mm-hmm. Something's in here. Oh my God, something's in the room. And we find out this is the ugly you. This is the you, right, that's been chasing you. So I used to have a dream. And every night I'd go to sleep and I had this recurring dream. And this creature, this beast was chasing me. Scariest thing in the world. Blood coming from the teeth and nails and all that stuff from the movies, right? And it would just haunt me. And one night I decided that I was going to face it. So I went to sleep. Here comes the creature. I'm going to kill you. I turned around and I looked at it. And this is the first time I've looked at it. And I realized it was the ugly me. It was all the disagreeable things and unhappiness and sadness and unworthiness in myself. And I simply said, well, I know you're going to kill me. I know you're the evil devil or whatever. If there is anything that you cannot do, would you leave me alone? Oh, what do you mean? I'm everything. I can do anything. I'm the devil. You know what I mean? Whatever. And I said, so if there's one thing, if I mention one thing that you cannot do, would you go away? Well, come on, listen, there's nothing I can't do. Test me. Mm-hmm. I said, well, can you be anywhere that the creator is not? Huh? Well, why are you killing me? Oh my God. It starts melting like I threw water on it, like the, Wizard of Oz, and it just disappears. Do you know I never had that dream again? Because it was me. Mm. And it couldn't, if you believe in a supreme creator, everything is created by the supreme creator. Everything. And all these things are to test you. If you go outside in the winter, it's really cold. The cold is not evil. You got to go in and get warm. But wait, oh my God, it was the evil frost monster was out there. Oh my God, it was about trying to freeze me to death. Right? No, you got to realize that it's there and you've got to go to its opposite. There are haters in the world, people who are disagreeable. Mm. Why are you worried about what they're thinking, what they're feeling? That's their world and their desire. You've got to find, right, love, peace, and harmony, or whatever it is you desire in yourself. And we're going to go back to the beginning. You got to have a goal. You got to be goal-minded. You got to have a treasure map. And you need to know your why, because your why is your fuel. Now, all of a sudden, when the evil monster pops up, when the parasites pop up, you'll call Dr. B, you'll get Dr. B's cleanse and help get rid of your parasites in 28 days, right? Your systemic parasites. You'll eat a certain way. You'll live a certain way. You walk a certain way. Where you'll have certain people around you so that now you are moving toward your goal, even though the gravity of the disagreeable could be pulling you. Because they can't be separated, but you can move towards your goal every day by staying focused, by staying clear. Go into the science, as Neville says. Create the feeling of being successful. Create the feeling of your desire. Live from the goal as if it's happening now. You will be tested, but you'll make it too.
I mean, that. And I know we're just about done here. I have one last question if you got the time for it. It's a quick one.
I got time. Time.
Because I realize, given your background, I probably won't have a better person to ask this question to. Across the internet right now, it's become popular probably, I would say, over the last 5 to 10 years and increasing. So binaural beats, isochronic tones, all these things that will help or are purported to help change your state, your mind state, your vibration, all these things. Do you find any benefit in putting that into your, say, meditation practice or your listening practice, or however you would is there anything to these, in your opinion, with all the work you've done within that field?
This is what I say sometimes upsets people because they haven't thought about this. So I'm going to just be open with you. When I was making medicine music, creating what they call medicine music, I realized that everybody was talking about the binaural beats. Mm-hmm. I'm a percussionist. Okay. No such thing.
Okay.
There's trinaural beats that I hear. Mm-hmm. Binaural beats is a simplified idea just like the 7 chakras simplified. It's like actually each chakra has 7 chakras. You see what I'm saying? You got 7 notes on the piano. Well, you go to India, they will prove to you that there's notes within notes within notes that you're not even playing on your piano.
Sure.
You see what I'm saying? You hear a drummer and he's playing 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, tsh, doom, tsh. And then you go to the continent, the motherland, and they got polyrhythm. Everything is super simplified so that the average person who's basically has a 5-year-old's brain can get it. So I was asked recently, Dr. B, so binaural beats. I said, listen, I don't do binaural beats. I do trinaural beats. But what is a trinaural beat? If you have, and binaural beats is when you have one frequency or one sound in one ear, and in the other ear, they put another sound so that you get this beating. You get this. It's the same frequency, very close to the same frequency, but it's off just a little bit. But guess what? When you go, there's a point where those two come together that creates a third tone. That's the tri in the trinaural beats. For instance, there was a group, Ashford and Simpson. Ashford and Simpson, 2 people would get on the stage and they would sing harmonies where you would hear a third note because their harmonies were so tight. And they had these sympathetic frequencies that they could touch that would vibrate another note that was in the environment that was part of the frequency of the room. You see what I'm saying? There is a room already has a frequency in it. A piano is already playing. When you go to the piano, every note on that piano is already playing. You just maybe can't hear it. And if I get these really high quality sensitive microphones and put it on the strings, you can hear it. And I'll tell you something else. If there's a piano across the room and this piano and that piano are tuned exactly the same, and I go play one piano, if you listen carefully, those notes are playing on the other piano. Those are sympathetic frequencies, sympathetic harmonies. So when you talk about binaural, you also have to talk about the trinaural, is when those 2 notes collide together, they create a third note. And I'm going to give you another example. You really like this person and you guys decide you want to make love. You have your frequency. You have your auric field, your whole magnetosphere is unique to you. It has a color, a tone, a sound. That's you. That's your essence. Now you're going to be with this other person who has their own unique frequency and their own unique essence. When you come together, guess what happens? A third being pops up. The third being is the combination of the 2. If the person was to get pregnant, that would be that would be the seed of their spirit. The combination of the 2. Epigenetics, right? They talk about how the DNA, the genes are not actually, they're not, defining your life. They're being defined on the frequency that they're in or the environment that they're in. The environment changes the thing. Do you feel what I'm saying?
Yes.
There are materials that if you heat them up, they change. Ice. You heat it up, it turns into regular water. You take water, freeze it, it turns it into ice. You see? But just before the ice becomes the water, there's this other water because there's many different types of water. We think there's only one water, you see, but there's different types of water and there's places where waters come together. So like in the Caribbean, you got actually all over the world where you have fresh water running into salt water. The water in between is a very special healing water. You see, when that person gets with this other person and they come together, this energy that is created, which is totally unique, is a different being. Let's say the person doesn't get pregnant. Guess what happens to the third energy? You ready for this? It becomes an orb. It becomes an angel. It becomes a combination. Even when you guys pull apart, you're not together, that thing still exists because you created it. So when you're with another person, you are in co-creation. You're going to create something. So when you read books like Think and Grow Rich, the most important chapter in the book, most people miss. It's about the transmutation of sexual energy. How very successful people have lots of intimacy. Right? Why? Because every time they come together, their mindset is on a goal. They're coming together based on a goal. You're becoming goal-minded. And when you reach that orgasmic state, when you have oxytocin and serotonin, and you have these different hormones coming together, and you're excited, and your nervous system you're having a part of an out-of-body experience, you are now co-creating an idea based on what it is you're thinking about, pondering on in the moment. So if it is, you're going to put together this $50,000, 50,000 acre farm that's going to feed the neighborhood, and the people who got felonies and people who can't get a job are all going to come and learn about gardening and about agriculture, which would be great. You see? So you come together to focus on that. Not just, oh boy, I want to get some and I haven't had any in a while. They look really good and they look like they can really do it great. And, all that kind of stuff is like, that's supposed to be secondary. You should be looking at that person on a spiritual, energetic level. Who are they? And what's going to happen when I mix my energy with their energy? It's going to create a third energy. That third energy is going to be an angel that you send out into space that travels at 770 billion miles per second to the other side of the galaxy and comes back to you. Star Trek, the last Star Trek with Captain Kirk. It's Star Trek, the motion picture, where he's an admiral. And they go and they find this being. It's like a universe that has been created based on a satellite that we sent from Earth, right? Many, many years ago. You got to check out. This is really a good movie. And the satellite got broken, right? And this mechanical culture of beings fixed it. They're like computer beings. They fixed it and created a universe around the satellite. And they sent the satellite out. And the satellite now is looking for its maker, because that's what satellites do. They're always looking for their creator to bring back information. Well, guess what? Now this thing is not just a little satellite that's the size of a Volkswagen. It's a whole universe of this gigantic being. It's like, it's amazing. And every time it flies by a planet or a sun or anything, it says, "Are you my maker?" And they don't respond. So guess what it does? You must be neutralized. It starts killing everything.
Right.
Ships. I don't care what. It'll ask you, "Are you my maker?" I'm looking for my maker. Well, you must have killed my maker. Mm-hmm. So it takes them out. So they have to figure out how to stop this thing. This is the Voyager spacecraft from Earth, which actually in real life did disappear at the edges of the universe, supposedly. It disappeared. So this movie says that, no, they found it and sent it back. But the bottom line is, Captain Kirk and his crew, they say, well, we're the makers. I'm the maker. Okay, since you're the maker, I want to give you this information, but I want to join with the maker. What? The thing is very sentient now. It wants to be intimate with the maker. You got to watch this movie. It's deep. Well, what do you mean? So the guy and this woman, because the satellite took over this woman's body and is talking through her. She was living on the ship, but now she's like a symbiote, half alien, half computer, half human. Is that many halves? Anyway, but yeah, they have to make love to join, because everything is looking for its maker and wants to join with the maker. Now, let's go back to you in the bed with your loved one. You just created something. You didn't get pregnant. Nobody got pregnant. There's this energy, this entity that you've created floating through space. It's a child. In fact, you got a lot of children, because every time you are intimate, you are creating an energetic child. Hear me now. And that child is programmed with the ideas or the mindset or the goal of the makers. What was the goal of the makers? Just to get some. We were just, was horny that night and just needed some. So we were there. And so now that entity is looking for more of itself. It's just floating through space, and it doesn't have any real strong distinction, no real strong track. It doesn't have any goal besides to look for more of that energy. Are you following me what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And guess what it does? It travels through space and looks for its maker. It always comes home. So here you are. You got this situation, man. They want to pick you to be on the team. And that's all you've ever wanted. You've practiced all night in the rain. You want to be on the team. And you got all the stats, everything you need to be selected to get on the team. And guess what? Your maker pops up. Not your maker, no. Cancel, cut, delete, and clear. Your satellite, your baby, energetically comes upon you. And you're out there on the field. And all of a sudden you're fumbling. And you don't know what the heck is going on. Because there's a piece of you that you sent out during the time of making love. And you sent some energy out every time you were intimate, which made you actually be confused, creates the loser in you because you were losing by not gaining, by not having a goal every time you created intimacy.
I see.
I'm glad we're ending with this because this is deep.
Yeah.
So that thing now becomes like an energetic parasite. It's looking for mommy. It's looking for daddy. And you're not acting like you're the mommy or the daddy. So you know what happens when you don't act like you're the mommy and daddy of the children? They have a fit. They snap. They want attention. They want energy. So even though you're about to win, this thing says, no, you weren't winning that night when you made me. Mm-hmm. You didn't have any concentrated goal on anything bigger than just getting some. So I'm going to reduce your energy and suck your electricity right now because I'm sad. So you're going to be sad because you're not giving me any energy. Boom. This is why a lot of people are not successful. No matter how hard they try, they can't get out of their stuff because they are connecting with beings where the goal isn't distinct. There's no true point. There's no real, you know what I'm saying? No focus. And what they are creating is more of what they were feeling at the time when they were making love. Now, if people are getting together and they're making love because they want to have children, you need to be clear. What kind of children? I just want to have 3.2 children. Right? You better get clear on the type of children because these children that are coming now are crystal children. Mm-hmm. That means that they have all the knowledge of all the beings before them, crystallized online. Mm-hmm. They wake up able to swipe your phone and, you know what I'm saying? Code and numbers and all that. It's nothing for them because they are the crystal children. All the children born after 1987. Mm. You see? So when we come back, we have to talk about what happened in 1987 because it's a deep thing that happened about, 1987. So basically, the question is, if you're going to be with someone and you'd like to be intimate, what are you making love out of? What are the ingredients? If you're making a cake, if you'd like to make a vanilla cake, you can't use chocolate and cinnamon, right? But you're attempting to have something, but you haven't distinguished and laid out and done the right, pre-work on what you're creating. So two people before they're intimate should sit and talk for a minute. What is it you desire? Who are you really? What can we create tonight? What are we moving towards? Let's move towards what? New cars, new houses, a $50 million building. Mm-hmm. If you are able to take that into your intimate time, that thing becomes like an angel. The energy of that time becomes angelic. And the man's job is to write on the walls of the temple what it is. The goal is, this is like a prayer. The woman is the temple. What are you writing? You see? Otherwise, what a lot of people are creating is parasites. That entity that you created will come back and it will suck the energy and the life out of everything because it's like a child having a fit and you not respecting it. So we have to respect the intimate times so those things don't become intimate or what they call entities and destroy our lives. Now, real quick before we go, a lot of people say, well, I got a lot of children out there floating around. This is true. Well, go to elevationtime.com. And we're actually going to be, and make sure you get on the email list, because we're going to have a class that teaches people how to rewrite this program. It's really easy. How to bring all your children, all your creations, because you're the co-creator of them, right? How to bring them to a council meeting and in seconds give them new instructions. So now you're goal-minded. This is what they talk about in the book Outwitting the Devil. Also, Napoleon Hill talks about it there. You can create anything through intimacy. In fact, every day of your life, your breath is being intimate because you're intaking and, you're breathing in air and oxygen. You're eating. That's an intimate thing. So in everything that you're doing, realizing that you're a creator. What are you creating? What goal are you moving towards? What would you like? And let's make sure that at least every season you're getting rid of your parasites, your systemic parasites. So we have a cleanse, at Elevation Time that helps with that.
We'll link to it. We will link to it. And it's perfect. Yes. To leave. We started with having a goal. We're ending with the fact that you need to have and be moving with intention, in order to get the best out of your life. This has been a very jam-packed. So for everybody who is listening to this, watching this, we're going to link to everything that you have just talked about. Is there anywhere else besides obviously also your Instagram? We're going to link to that. Is there anywhere else though that we might want to send people who want to know more?
Oh, YouTube. Go to my Doctah B YouTube page. So that's Doctah, Doctah, and then the letter B and Sirius, Sirius. You guys, you can link them to there.
We'll link to that. We will link to that also. Perfect.
Yeah.
Listen, Doctah B, incredible. We definitely need to continue this conversation. I know that people are going to have a lot of questions. They're going to want to know a lot of more information. And so next time we'll throw a bit of that in there. And we'll dig into some more topics. But listen, I can't thank you enough, for taking the time.
And I'd like to thank you for this forum, for what you're doing. And I'd also like to thank all of you out there who voted because, I received the Spiritual Leader of the Year award with the Forbidden Knowledge Conscious Awards. And I'm thankful for that. And so what we're going to be doing from now on is giving people more of what they desire at this time, because this is the time to rise. This is it. Even though they keep throwing things at you and showing you things saying that we're going down, we're actually going up. So let's get ourselves together and let's be focused. Get with nature. Otherwise, nature's going to get with you and it won't be nice. Thank you very much, brother. Travel light. We don't need all that luggage. Most of it is not ours.
Appreciate it. Perfect, guys. We'll see you later.